Now, please recognize the gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Finstad, for 5 minutes of questioning.
Thank you, Chairman Thompson, and thank you, Secretary Vilsack, for being here today and for your testimony. I'm a proud fourth-generation farmer of southern Minnesota, excited to be raising the fifth, and just really proud of the fact that I'm part of a very honorable profession that really is called to feed and fuel the world and to help support our communities, families, and really the country as a whole. Recently, your department released several concerning reports related to the current state of the farm economy. As you know, USDA's most recent projections found that the United States will experience an ag trade deficit of over $30.5 billion this year. Last week, USDA's, your Economic Research Services, forecasted that in 2024, net farm income will drop by almost $40 billion. This is after close to $30 billion decline in 2023. You should already be aware of who was leading the USDA the last time the farm income fell 2 years in a row. As a matter of fact, you oversaw 4 consecutive years of decreased farm income from 2012 to 2016. That's quite the resume. As I meet with producers across the 21 counties I represent in southern Minnesota, they are worried about a repeat performance with multiple years of decreased income. Yet today, you have downplayed farm income falling by 27%. Maybe you can stand to lose 27% of your income, Mr. Secretary, but the farmers I represent cannot. My producers are dealing with compounding effects of increased input costs, interest rates, supply chain challenges, and burdensome regulations, creating a highly leveraged financial environment in farm country. The hypocrisy of this administration knows no bounds, and a prime example is your shifting positions on the ideal farm size in less than a decade. Every one of us that is not a farmer because we have farmers. We delegate the responsibility of feeding our families to a relatively small percentage of this country. If you look at 85% of what is grown in this country, it is raised by 200 to 300,000 people. That is less than 1/10 of 1% of America. Those are your words from a 2016 congressional hearing, Mr. Secretary. Yet in your testimony today, you coldly dismiss these same family farms, who are the backbone of their rural communities as they work every day to feed and fuel the world. In the last 8 years, you seem to have forgotten that the small number of producers you now demonize are responsible for 80% of the production. All Americans and members of Congress should want to help small producers. I just think you don't have much appreciation for the operations that provide a majority of the food in this country with tight margins and greater risk. Farmers have continued to produce more with less by adopting innovation and increasing efficiencies, not because the government tells us to do it, but to remain competitive, to take care of our land, and to pass our farms down to the next generation. As farmers do every day for planning purposes, I did some back-of-the-napkin math. Effective reference prices are $4.01 for corn, $9.26 for soybeans. December corn is $4.67, and November soybeans are $11.62. If we look at that break-even, it's about $5.10 for corn, $12 for soybeans. Doesn't take a mathematician to figure out reference prices as they stand today are really irrelevant. If crop prices were to fall to the level needed to trigger these reference prices and the safety net, farmers would be facing bankruptcy. So due to that fact, crop insurance is the #1 risk management tool we have for farmers to succeed. From working with their lender to making marketing decisions that really help us plan for farming of the future. Moreover, FSA loan size limitations have not kept up with rising prices of farmland and these farm inputs. The current cap makes it more difficult for farmers, especially beginning farmers, to access FSA guaranteed loans for land purchases and operating expenses. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit into the record an October 2023 study prepared by Texas A&M examining farm policy and its impact on farm families.
Without objection.
Mr. Secretary, you closed your testimony today by saying we can continue on the path that this administration has taken that leads us to an even better and stronger rural America. I don't know about you, but if collapsing farm incomes, worsening trade deficits, increased regulatory burdens are your version of a better and stronger rural America, I think most farmers, including myself, would like to find a different path, and quite frankly, we call it hogwash. I will proudly stand up for farmers against the so-called leadership at USDA and across the Biden administration looking to tear them down. Farm and food security is national security, and good farm policy isn't written by D.C. bureaucrats for D.C. bureaucrats. It's written by farmers in rural America for farmers in rural America. So, Mr. Secretary, actions speak louder than words, and your track record speaks for itself. Mr. Chair, I have no questions, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Now recognize the gentleman from New Mexico.